Hey everybody, this is Matt. I'm making a new Heroclix video. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to Connor, aka Starfighter52. He gave me the idea for today's video. Definitely check out his channel. He's been making Heroclix videos, putting a lot of work into each of his videos. I gotta give him kudos. He's making a whole lot of cool videos, so definitely check him out and subscribe to him. So the video I'm making today is talking about the Turtle release event I went to this past weekend. And the theme for that event was 200 points. You buy 4 booster packs, and you should make a 200-point team out of what you pull. If you don't have enough pieces to make a 200-point team, you can use pieces from outside of what you pull. So this is what I pulled. I pulled a 60-point Baxter Stockman super rare, pulled a 60-point Michelangelo rare, and I pulled 2 30-point foot soldiers. So I got really lucky. I was the only one to pull a super rare that day, and one of the only 3 people to pull a rare. So let's just talk about the figures before I get into who I played, and kind of what I liked about overall. And I may have to zoom in a little bit, so give me a second to. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. Okay. So this is Baxter Stockman. He's 60 points, which is actually pretty affordable. He has flight and he has 4 range and sidestep. Now, one of the things that definitely came up in this Turtle release event was that there wasn't a whole lot of range values. And while there was some movement attack, there wasn't a lot of range, and there really wasn't a lot of indomitable. So anybody who could sidestep and have range, it was kind of like a movement attack and some range, and then there wasn't a lot of flight. So, Baxter Stockman could carry somebody. That 4 range double target was useful. That sidestep was useful. And he's actually just kind of hard to hit with the super synthesis and shape change. So, and just look at the sculpt. He's so funny looking. This is based on the original cartoon. So I absolutely love it. It was a super rare I was needing. So as he takes damage, he loses his shape change, but he gains a really cool outwit and perplex, which is so invaluable in this format because there's just almost no outwit and perplex. You got 1 or 2 pieces that have that kind of stuff. So the ability to outwit a piece and perplex down their defense just made it so much easier for my other guys to hit. And that basically is how he goes. I don't think I ever really used these clicks at all. He's only 5 clicks, but he's only 60 points, so you can't hate him for it. He does have a trait where he can carry up to 4 tiny characters, but I didn't have tiny characters, so it didn't really come into play. But his special damage is he can use Outwit and Perplex, but only to target the same opposing character. Super useful. Just an amazing piece around. This is Michelangelo. He has sidestep. Now he doesn't have charge, and I wish he had charge because a lot of turtles had charge. But the sidestep was nice. All 4 of my pieces had sidestep starting out. So what I would do in each of my games is I would just, because nobody had Indomitable, I didn't want to take an action and just move up. So I would just slowly sidestep up the entire game until I was ready to do some more stuff. Now his 0 range was kind of lame, but the perplex was super useful. Like I said, outwit and perplex of any kind in this format was amazing. And then he has this really cool special attack. He can use Quake. When he does, after actions resolve, give each hit character an action token. So there's a lot of close combat in this in this limited format, and his ability to get in there, perplex up his attack. He didn't have to perplex up his damage because he's using Quake, and that's a locked damage value of 2. So he would perplex up his attack and Quake everybody. Possibly knock him back. Not often he would knock him back because so many pieces have charge. But then he would put an action token on him, and that was huge. That was huge. Anything that can put an action token in a format where a lot of pieces don't have Indomitable, it just wrecked people because they get a second action token, so they can't attack next turn, and they would take push damage. So the sidestep was useful. And he can move through hindering and elevated. It's funny enough, there was no elevated at all on the turtle maps that was given for the event, but there was some water, and so that helped with the hindering a little bit. Overall, he's a really good piece. He gets even better later on in his Dow. He goes up to 11 attack, which is really nice, and this is where it gets really interesting. he gets a special defense which gives him combat reflexes and willpower. And suddenly that 17 is now a 19, and you can even flex it up to a 20. He was so hard to hit off that. And only against a Shredder in late game were they able to outwit it and actually hit him pretty heavily. And he even gets even better where he loses the Quake, but now he gets Flurry, and now he's doing 3 damage. So a lot of pieces have toughness. Not a lot had Indomitable or Impervious or Invincible or Invulnerability or Impervious. So you can hit them for 2 after toughness, then hit them for 2 more after toughness. A lot of times you knock them onto like willpower or something and just finish them off. And he goes back to Perplex, back to 3 damage. He's pretty good. 6 clicks for 60 points. I really liked him. Now these were the 2 foot soldiers I had. This was the chain comma, and this one had range too. This was really useful. Sidestep with range. So I could hide him behind a piece, then sidestep him up in front of the piece next turn and attack the opposing pieces 3 squares away. And he has a special ability. Well, he has the trait. This is what all Foots have. When Foot Soldier is KO'd by an opponent's attack, roll a d6. On a 5 or 6, you may place a character named Foot Soldier from outside the game into your starting area or a square within 5 squares of it. And we ruled that because it says from outside the game, it didn't have to mean you pulled the Foot Soldier to place one into the game. So there was one time out of my 3 games that I was able to bring another Foot Soldier in, and that was fun. But he has a special attack power. When Foot Soldier hits an opposing character with a range attack, you can put an action token on them, and they can't be moved or placed during their next turn. Now, I forgot about the move and place part. I did not read that very well. Oh, I misplayed that completely. I thought you put an action token on them. You don't. You actually move the character. Okay, well, I misplayed that completely. That's why you gotta read your cards, people. I was confusing it with this Foot Soldier, which has a special thing. He can use Flurry, and each time he hits an opposing character after action resolve, you may give that character an action token. So, I thought he meant he can make range attacks, but he puts an action token, and he can make close combat attacks, but he puts an action token. I was actually wrong there, and that's my mistake. But the 2 30-point guys, they're super cheap. They both have 4 clicks each. Which, after the first 2 clicks, you're probably not doing much, especially if they have toughness. You're sitting there doing basically nothing, but they're only 30 points each, and they have the potential to bring in another piece. So that's awesome. And hopefully I'm showing some pictures on the left side so you can kind of see how the event went down. So my first round, I went against an interesting team with Leatherhead, Slash, and Baxter Stockman. Now Leatherhead didn't have any real movement attack; he just had sidestep. So the opponent would got him kind of close in, and then went for the death roll, which allowed him to move up to 3 squares and then make a close attack that hit everybody adjacent to him, and then do 2 damage and knockback. And that was pretty interesting, but thankfully Baxter Stockman did roll his super senses on that. So he damaged my guys a little bit. I think he knocked Mikey onto a really good click, while Baxter Stockman and Slash kind of stayed back. Baxter Stockman is one of the only pieces that have outwit in there, and he would just outwit some of my powers, and he was keeping Slash ready with his charge, so he could charge for 5 and hit somebody really, really hard. And his spike shell, where if you try to punch him back, you can hit for 1, and he has invulnerability. It's nasty because a lot of time you'll be only doing 1 damage to him, but you'll be taking 1 yourself. So I faced that team. I was able to finish off Leatherhead pretty quickly. Then it was left to Baxter Stockman and Slash, and I used my chain comma. He was still on his first click, so I sent him after Baxter Stockman, and I was able to KO Baxter Stockman. And it basically, I think the Slash just got over-actioned at that point. Even though we were doing 200 points, we did 4 actions because so many pieces were small, and I didn't want to give a huge advantage to the big dudes, where like if somebody pulls a Krang, you can only hit them twice a turn, And it wasn't true to the series itself. You know, when the turtles are fighting, they're all fighting, not just two at a time. So I think that helped out a lot against that Slash, being able to have all four of my guys. He KO'd one of the foot soldiers, but I was still able to finish off the game pretty good. Then the second round, I faced the person who had pulled a Chase. He had the wrong team. He had a Chase Michelangelo. This is not the card for him, but you know, he had a Chase Michelangelo. He had a super rare Donatello. This was the guy who opened up his cube and had to choose 5 random pieces from there. You got a Chase Michelangelo, super rare Donatello, and a regular Michelangelo. And that was a very hard battle. The chases are so good. They have this shell to shell defense. If he's adjacent to another turtle, he can use impervious. So it was so hard to hit that turtle. And then when they got in close, he was able to. Michelangelo has this flurry, and then you can put an action token on pieces, and the chase also has that, so he could do the flurry action token, then move 2 squares with this ability, breaking away automatically, and make another close combat attack afterwards. It was devastating, and he absolutely wiped me. I think I killed the regular Michelangelo though, but still, it was a really hard battle. And then the third round, I faced a team that had Shredder. I don't actually own a Shredder, so I don't have the card for it. An Alpha 1 and a Raphael, a common. And the Shredder is absolutely nuts for that points. I think he's like 90 points or something. And every time one of your friendly characters mess with an attack, you can clear a token off a Shredder, which is so useful in a format where there's not a lot of Indomitable. And then Alpha 1 actually has Sidestep and 5 range, which is just godly in a format with like so many pieces with no range. And then also Shredder has Outwit, and Alpha 1 had some form of Perplex at some point. So he had just a lot of utility. The Raphael didn't do much, and I KO'd the Raphael, but that was the only points I got that game. And I tried to KO the Alpha 1, but then he landed on Regeneration, and he had Indomitable, which made it even harder to finish off. So I wasn't able to KO that, and the Shredder eventually KO'd all my pieces. So I had a lot of fun with the event. I think everybody had a lot of fun with the event. We gave out 6 Ooze Canister LE pieces. I didn't get one, but that's okay. Basically, if you don't know what the Ooze Canister LE figure is, I'm gonna rezoom back in on my pieces. If we don't know what the LE's ooze canister is somebody can pick it up, and it gives them the animal keyword, and whenever they get punched by an opponent, they can choose one of their standard powers to have. So it's kind of situational, but it's kind of weird. But I mean, it's kind of useful. So everybody had fun. I had fun. Of course, I was so happy to pull a super rare and a rare. And I think the format is really fun. It's kind of balanced. There was some Monster X pieces that were just whooping everybody's butt, because he could just choose a power, 120 points with like 9 clicks of life, just absolutely nuts in the format. But if you take out a few pieces, you know, like Monster X and maybe Krang, the format I feel like is pretty balanced, and I think everybody had a good time. And there was a few players that want to do this again. They had so much fun. We brought out 9 people for this event, which is pretty decent for us for a turtle event. Even some people that hadn't played in weeks or months came back for the turtle event. The turtles are so awesome. I'm so excited to have turtle Heroclix in this game. It's such a good time we had. And I'm looking forward to next month when I get to go to Columbia, South Carolina, and play in their WizKids Open and buy myself a turtle mobile, because I'm gonna put it with all my turtles, and they're gonna be awesome. Well, that's how the event went. I hope you enjoyed the photos on the left side. I hope you enjoyed me talking about my figures. If you have any questions, post them below. If you want to know more about Heroclix, you can go to heroclix.com. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my videos, and I hope you have a great night. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.